Good morning, dear hearts, and congratulations. We are on lesson 220 in part 1 of the workbook, and it just happens to be the last lesson in part 1 of the workbook. So congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back perhaps if you want to, or have someone else do that for you. It's a big accomplishment. It really is a big accomplishment. We are completing this review, my favorite review, as I've said many times, because I love the three lines that are precede each and every practice and conclude each and every practice. They are the essential awarenesses that we must have as we complete part 1 of the workbook. We must understand that we are not bodies. And we must understand, because we are not bodies, we are indeed free. And we must understand that we are still as God created us. We are changeless, we are timeless, we continue to be. We are quiet, we are serene, we are calm as God created us. And that is how we want to be as we enter into part 2 of the workbook. Now, the actual lesson that we are reviewing today is the third lesson in this section that deals with peace, God's peace. There is no other peace. And that's what the lesson is. There is no peace except the peace of God. Now, we had lesson 205, my fave, that I want the peace of God. And then we had lesson 208, that the peace of God is shining in me now. Just think of that. We're illuminated with the peace of God shining out of us and going forth. And now there is no peace except that. There is nothing else except the peace of God. There's nothing else I want, lesson 205 for me, understanding when I have the peace of God, when I am aware of the peace of God within me now, I have no other desires, no wants, no needs. The peace of God is everything I want and everything I need. And there is no other peace to have except the peace of God. Now, we've come a very, very long way from lesson 1, that nothing I see means anything, to this lesson that there is no peace except the peace of God. That's what everything means for me. It's the peace of God. Because when I accept and know that the peace of God is mine, that's why nothing else meant anything, because I was without God's peace. And now the peace of God will fall gently upon all things, all living things. The few lines in italics that we have for practicing today are, let me not wander from the way of peace, for I am lost on other roads than this. No other road will provide me with anything that I want. I will be lost. I will go about wandering. Where am I? Where do I want to be? Why am I here? Those are all the questions that I will find on any other road except the one of peace, of the peace of God, the one that leads me to the peace of God. But let me follow him, my guide, my teacher, my comforter, who leads me home. Home, that Om right there in the middle, all that we need, the sound of the universe, the sound of creation. This leads me home. And peace is certain as the love of God. God's love is certain. God's peace is certain. God's truth is certain. God's joy, God's happiness, God's will for each and every one of us is certain. It has no opposite. It will not change. It will not take us where we do not want to go. God's attributes, his characteristics that he has so beautifully and willingly bestowed upon us, his beloved children, are what we hold on to and what we take with us into part 2 of the workbook. Now, part 1 of the workbook has been all about undoing the ego thoughts, the small thoughts, the thoughts that are not in our highest good and best interest, and undoing that mind. And we have worked very hard, very diligently at doing this. So here we are now in lesson 220, wanting only to have the peace of God because our mind has been undone. And we have different thoughts and different goals and different ideals and different awarenesses than we had when we started lesson 1. Our mind is not completely untrained. So our mind is getting more and more sustainable into the truth. There is no peace except the peace of God. There's no truth except the truth of God. We are coming home. And the peace of God will lead us there. It will not abandon us. It will not let us be on our own to wander backwards into our ego mind. The peace of God will hold us and sustain us because we are sustained by the love of God. We are sustained by the peace of God. We are sustained now and forever in the heart of God. We have come this far, and we are never going back. We are never going back. That's not to say that we won't do the lessons again and again and again, but we will go deeper into each and every lesson every time we do them, because we're not starting from the point of complete unawareness. We're beginning to know because we're coming closer to God, and God knows. So here we are, completing part 1 of the workbook, and we repeat for at least this one more time this year. I am not a body. I am free, and I am still as God created me. Remember that. So I hope it helped. I hope it felt good. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please comment. I love the comments. Taking a deep breath. Let everything go that isn't part of the peace of God. And tomorrow there might be one very long video with the introduction and then into the first central idea. That's how part 2 works. There's a central idea and then subsequent lessons. So I'm not really sure what it will be, but hopefully you will be here with me. Namaste.